I've been with Jason for 3 years, yet he still refuses to propose to me. Later, he fell head over heels for my stepsister at first sight and began pursuing her ostentatiously. This time I didn't cry, nor did I silently wait for him to come back like before when he'd had enough fun. Instead, I threw away all the gifts he'd given me and shredded the wedding dress I'd secretly bought. On his birthday, I left City A alone. Before boarding the plane, Jason suddenly sent me a message. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you." I smiled but didn't reply, blocking all his contact information. He didn't know that just half a month ago, I had accepted my university senior Theodore's marriage proposal. The plane landed in the new city, and then we were getting married. "Theodore, I've made up my mind." I stood before the mirror, looking at my pale and gaunt reflection. It turns out making an important life decision isn't as difficult as I thought. "Amelia, will you marry me?" Theodore's deep voice came through the phone. A sudden pang of emotion struck my heart. As tears fell, I nodded softly, "I will." "Amelia, do you know? I've been looking forward to this day since college." In the mirror, I saw myself smiling faintly at some point. "Give me 2 weeks, I'll finish handling things here." "All right, Amelia, I'll be waiting for you." The call had barely ended when my bedroom door was suddenly flung open from outside. "Amelia," Dad coughed awkwardly. "Your sister isn't feeling well, and your room gets the morning sun. How about swapping rooms for a few days?" I remained silent, my gaze falling on my stepmother and stepsister Celia behind him. Stepmother hurriedly interjected, "Vincent, don't trouble Amelia about this." Celia also pouted pitifully, "Yes, Dad, it's fine with me. Don't upset my sister because of me. What trouble could there be? You're my daughter too." After speaking, Dad looked at me sternly, "Amelia, you're the older sister. You should be more sensible." I stared blankly at my father before me. I thought I would feel devastated, that I would weep bitterly, because my biological father showed more affection to an unrelated sister than to me. But I didn't shed a single tear. I even nodded at them with a smile. "Sure, I'll switch with her. In just half a month, I'll be leaving this place forever. Which room I live in doesn't matter anymore." Father seemed pleased by my obedience. My stepmother also smiled contentedly. After they left, Celia stayed behind. "Sister, let me help you pack your things." She stood before me with an impeccably docile demeanor. Yet as her gaze swept across the room, her eyes brimmed with unconcealable amusement. I never expected Dad would agree to let us switch rooms. "Big sis, are you really mad at me? After all, I just stole Jason from you, and now I've taken the bedroom you lived in for 10 years. I didn't want to engage with her and turned to fetch my suitcase. Suddenly, Celia let out a dramatic ouch, and collapsed onto the floor with exaggerated force. "Sis." As she fell, her arm struck the corner of the table, leaving a dark purple bruise blossoming across her skin. "Amelia, what are you doing?" Jason had somehow come upstairs just in time to see Celia fall. His face darkened as he strode over, carefully gathering Celia into his arms. "Jason, I'm all right. Sister didn't mean to do it." Tears streamed down Celia's face even as she forced a pained smile, saying, "It doesn't hurt, Jason. It's all bruised, yet you say it doesn't hurt." Jason gazed at the wounds on her snow-white arm, his eyes filled with heartache. Yet when his eyes turned to me, his gaze instantly darkened, as if filled with frost and snow. "Amelia, if you're unhappy, take it out on me. Don't hurt Celia, she's suffered enough already. Not like you, born into privilege as the pampered young mistress who's never known hardship." I thought my emotions would no longer be swayed by him. I also thought I'd never shed another tear for Jason. But in the end, I'm still just an ordinary girl. I have neither steel bones nor an indestructible heart. The childhood sweetheart I grew up with. The man I loved for 3 years. In just a few days, he fell for a younger, more delicate girl. And cast me as the venomous, ruthless monster. I didn't want to cry, I even wanted to laugh. But my tear ducts were already swollen and aching. Jason, we've known each other for so many years. Don't you know what kind of person I am? Jason slightly furrowed his brows. His gaze lingered on my face, his expression showing a faint hint of softening. But Celia suddenly began to cry. Jason, please don't argue with my sister because of me. It's okay, if she's angry with me, she has every right to be. Celia's sobs were quiet, as though she had endured endless grievances. The look Jason gave me eventually turned completely cold. You're jealous that I care for Celia. Jealous that I treat her well. Jealous that everyone adores her. Amelia, you're not the person you used to be. You've changed, twisted, haven't you? After saying this, he picked up Celia and turned to leave. I watched their retreating figures. Suddenly I realized my tears had dried up at some point. Maybe this was for the best. These past few days, I'd already cried many times over Jason. From now on, I probably won't ever feel heartbroken or shed another tear for him again. That evening, our mutual friends group chat suddenly became lively. Jason posted in the group, "What to do when you suddenly feel like getting married?" The group chat exploded instantly. Jason, you're finally going to marry Amelia, huh? People in the group started tagging me one after another. Congratulations, Amelia. Are you going to send a big red envelope? Jason, when are you treating us to your wedding banquet with Amelia? The group became a noisy mess, with messages flooding the screen. I was just about to post a clarification. The person Jason wants to marry isn't me either. But Jason beat me to it. What nonsense are you all talking about? I never said the person I want to marry is Amelia. After speaking, he pulled Celia into the group and tagged everyone. Take a good look, this is the one I actually want to marry. The noisy group suddenly fell silent. For a long while, no one spoke. Jason asked, "Why is everyone so quiet? Say hello to Celia." Sparsely, people in the group began greeting Celia. I thought about it, then finally sent a message, "Congratulations. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness." After sending it, I immediately left the group chat. The moment I exited the group, Jason's call came through. "Amelia, come here right now." "Where to?" "You know the place, the usual spot." "Something wrong?" "Apologize to Celia." "Why should I apologize? When you suddenly left the group just now, do you have any idea what the other friends will think of her?" Jason's tone was stiff, yet overwhelmingly assertive. "I don't want others slandering Celia. I'm the one who likes her, who wants to give her a proper status. She's innocent and shouldn't bear the label of being a homewrecker because of your recklessness and impulsiveness. Even if I no longer let his actions and words unsettle my emotions." But at this moment, my heart ached with suffocating pain. My fingers clutching the phone trembled faintly. When I spoke, my voice shook too. "Jason, you can't treat people this way. What right do you have to bully me like this? You were the one who betrayed me first. I've done nothing wrong, I even congratulated you both. Isn't that enough?" I stubbornly refused to let tears fall, yet my voice still wavered with unmistakable sobs. A brief silence lingered on the other end of the line. "Amelia. I can let it go this time. But I hope you remember, Celia is innocent. Don't take your anger out on her or hurt her." The phone call ended. I sat on the carpet, my whole body trembling. In the memorial photo on the bedside table, Mom was looking at me with gentle, loving eyes. Suddenly tears poured down like rain as I threw myself forward and clutched the frame tightly. Through a layer of cold glass, I pressed my face lightly against Mom's. Tears kept falling, and the photo of Mom seemed to grieve for her daughter too. I didn't want to cry anymore, didn't want Mom to know and feel sorrow in heaven. Once Mom's Memorial Day passes, I'll take the belongings she left me and leave Cydia forever, never to return. Celia moved into my room. As for me, I didn't take hers. Instead, I settled into a random guest room for the time being. The bedding the servants prepared for me was icy and damp. I simply slept in my clothes. After all, it won't be long now. Endure it, and everything will finally be over. But the next morning, as soon as I got out of bed and went downstairs, I saw complete chaos at the side hall where the table displaying my mother's memorial photograph and offerings had been set up. Mother's photo had been thrown on the floor, its frame shattered, trampled with countless muddy footprints. Her smiling portrait now seemed to be gazing at me in anguished weeping. The offerings were scattered across the floor while Celia's pet dog was gnawing at them. Celia stood nearby, clapping her hands in delight. As I stood there, I felt all the blood in my body rush to my head in an instant. Every shred of reason, every thought of enduring silently, all vanished without a trace. I grabbed the vase like a madwoman and hurled it at the puppy. The dog fled in terror as Celia shrieked, the shards cutting her arm. "Amelia! What are you doing? How could you raise a hand against your sister?" Dad's voice boomed as Celia was already sobbing into his embrace. "Daddy, save me, big sister's trying to kill me." "Amelia, you've gone too far this time. Can't you see? She threw away Mom's offerings, ruined Mom's memorial photo." My entire body trembled as tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. My heart ached with grief and indignation for Mom. But Dad merely glanced at the mess on the floor and frowned. "That still doesn't give you the right to hurt someone. Amelia, your mother has been gone for so long. How can the dead compare to the living?" Celia, pale-faced and timid, spoke up weakly, "Dad, it was an accident, my puppy knocked over the offerings. I was going to apologize to sister, but the moment she came downstairs she rushed at me, she hit me with a vase before I could even say anything." She lifted her bleeding arm, looking pitifully at her father. "Dad, maybe Mom and I should just move out. If the beast doesn't know better, do you not know better either?" Dad glared at me, suddenly raised his hand, and when the heavy slap came down, I forgot to dodge. He seemed momentarily stunned too. But in the end, he said nothing, turning to lead Celia away to tend to her wound. I watched their retreating figures, only feeling the searing pain on my face after they'd been gone for quite some time. I raised my hand to cover my slightly swollen face, tears falling as I let out a mocking laugh. I knew it, this home no longer had a place for me. In the middle of the night, I was abruptly awakened by sobbing and screams. The moment I sat up, the door was kicked open from the outside. My stepmother rushed in crying, and before I could regain my senses, several heavy slaps landed on my face. "How can you be so cruel? Hurting her during the day wasn't enough, now you want to kill her too." My stepmother threw herself into my father's arms, sobbing. She knew Celia was allergic to peaches, yet she deliberately spilled peach juice all over the bed and pillows. She was trying to kill our daughter. "All right, stop crying." Fortunately, Celia took her medicine in time. "It's nothing serious." Father gently comforted her while casting a disgusted glance at me. "Amelia, you've truly disappointed me. Move out tomorrow. Keeping you at home will only bring chaos to our entire family." My stepmother's sobbing stopped instantly. I looked at the man before me. He was once my closest kin in this world. He had loved me immeasurably. I was his only daughter, treasured like a pearl in his palm. But later, everything changed. Like a heroine in a novel whose fortune was stolen, I gradually lost everything. At first, I couldn't understand. I cried, I raged, I fought. But now, I've finally seen the truth. The bond between father and daughter has completely run its course. The day I moved out from the Chen household, Dad said to me, "After your mother's Memorial Day passes, Dad will bring you home." I didn't respond. Only after they left did I cut up all the photos of Jason and me, and of Dad and me from over the years, before burning them. Finally, I shredded the wedding dress I had bought 3 years ago, the one I secretly purchased after Jason confessed his love to me. It was the dress I'd imagined wearing countless times since girlhood, the one that would make me look most like a princess. But now, I'd cut it to pieces with my own hands. The remainder consists of various gifts Jason has given me over the past 3 years. There are novel little trinkets for amusement, as well as expensive jewelry pieces. I picked out the pricier items, planning to have my best friend keep them for me temporarily. After I leave City A, she can return them to Jason on my behalf. Only then can we truly consider all debts settled between us. As for those worthless little things meant solely to cheer me up, I didn't hesitate to pack them all up for disposal. Once even a tiny keychain was something I treasured dearly. But now when it's time to throw it away, not a single ripple stirs in my heart. After completing everything, I carefully and meticulously wrapped my mother's portrait, placing it gently in the hidden compartment of the suitcase. I walked away from this home where I'd lived for 10 years without looking back. As I stepped out the front gate, Jason's car happened to arrive. I didn't spare it a glance. Yet suddenly, the car stopped right beside me. The rear window rolled down, revealing Jason's handsome, aristocratic face. My gaze merely skimmed past him indifferently as I continued walking without pause. Amelia. Jason frowned slightly. Where are you going? I was dragging 2 large suitcases, which already made walking quite difficult. I had no mind to stop and exchange pleasantries with him. So I didn't pay any attention and just continued walking out. Jason suddenly opened the car door and got out. Do you want me to have the driver take you? No, thank you. I dodged his hand and kept walking away. Jason, however, gripped my wrist. Amelia, why are you being so stubborn this time? Cry for me like you used to, and maybe I'll soften up again. I shook off his hand forcefully and looked at him calmly. Jason, it's not necessary anymore. No need to cry, and no need for his pity. Time and again, I've grown weary and tired. Fine, suit yourself. Jason sneered, but disbelief was written in his eyes. After all, in the past, no matter how heartbroken I was, I always willingly and silently waited for him to turn back. He had long grown accustomed to it. Everyone around him said I would never be able to leave him. He believed it wholeheartedly too. I was dragging my suitcase, ready to leave. Celia's soft, graceful voice had already sounded. Jason, you're here. She threw herself toward him, tightly clutching Jason's arm, pressing nearly half her body against him. Has your allergy gotten better? Jason brushed aside the stray hairs on her forehead as he carefully examined her. Much better. Celia lifted her face with a smile that crinkled her eyes. Jason, don't be angry with sister. As she spoke, she hugged Jason's arm and gave it a gentle shake. Actually, it's my own fault for being so weak. If my constitution weren't so poor, Dad wouldn't have made me switch rooms with sister. Then she wouldn't have taken her anger out on me. How could this be your fault? She's just narrow-minded herself. Jason glanced at me and deliberately pulled Celia into his embrace. Let's go inside. Your face just healed, don't let the wind get to it. I watched as the two of them walked away entwined, inseparable as conjoined twins. Yet my heart remained like a still lake, no longer stirred by even the faintest ripple. After Mom's Memorial Day passed, Dad never came to take me home. And before I knew it, Jason's birthday had arrived. In previous years, I would have prepared the birthday gift long in advance. Then I'd go through great efforts to book a hotel and meticulously decorate the birthday venue. But this time I didn't prepare any gifts. Nor would I celebrate his birthday again. At 5 p.m., I was in a car on my way to the airport. New messages kept coming in on my phone. Dad was also pressing me, why aren't you here yet? We've all arrived. Amelia, you need to be more generous. Jason will become part of our family in the future. If you don't come, what will outsiders think? They might assume there's a rift between you sisters. I found it utterly ridiculous. Without replying a single word, I simply blocked him. As I was preparing to board the plane, I suddenly received a message. It was from Jason. Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you. I smiled, gave no reply, and blocked all his contact methods. Then, I walked through the boarding gate without ever looking back. It was already 7 o'clock. Yet Jason hadn't announced the start of the birthday celebration. He sat on the sofa, idly playing with a lighter in his hand, his expression faintly indifferent. Only occasionally would he glance at his wrist to check the time. Or sometimes, unlock his phone screen. Jason. Celia bit her lip and gently tugged at his sleeve. It's getting late, and everyone's hungry. Jason looked at her, a smile on his face, though somehow, the warmth didn't quite reach his eyes. It's you who's hungry, isn't it? He pinched Celia's cheek and teased her. I'm absolutely starving, dying for some cake. Celia nestled into his arms. Jason caught a faint yet familiar fragrance. He paused and asked softly, "What perfume are you wearing?" "I just grabbed something random from the dressing room at home." Celia looked surprised. "What's wrong, Jason? Does it smell bad?" Jason shook his head. "Good enough." That seemed to be the scent of the perfume Amelia always used. For a moment, he just couldn't recall which brand it was. Amid the laughter and chaos of the cake fight, Jason grabbed a cigarette and stepped onto the balcony. His phone remained silent, devoid of any response. He remembered Amelia saying she would never miss any of his birthdays from now on. But she broke her promise so quickly. Jason's gaze turned icy, his lips curling into a faint, bitter smile. "Amelia, are you dead? Can't you reply to messages?" He hit send. But the message failed to deliver. A glaring red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. He'd been blocked. Jason barely hesitated before immediately calling Amelia's number. It was already unreachable. Standing on the balcony, he stared into the dense night beyond, feeling an indescribable fury spreading through his chest. He was the one who didn't want her anymore. He was also the one who found someone new. The one who grew somewhat tired of her and didn't want her clinging to him anymore. But now that everything had gone as he wished, he didn't seem as happy as he'd imagined. After arriving in the new city, I didn't contact Theodore right away. Instead, I met up with Hazel, my closest and dearest friend from college. I wanted to share this secret with her. But for a while, I hadn't figured out how to tell her. Unexpectedly, however, I ran into Theodore at the welcome dinner Hazel had arranged for me. He stood at the private room doorway dressed in black business attire, with a matching overcoat draped over his arm. The corridor lights behind him cast dazzling patterns on the intricate, colorful murals, creating a resplendent interplay of light and shadow. Yet standing just outside that radiance, he seemed to reduce all things around him to mere accessories. Years had passed since we last met, and he appeared even more handsome than during university days, more composed too. Years had passed, and now this man bore the title of my fiancé. My cheeks flushed faintly pink. My gaze dropped, fingers twisting nervously at the lace-trimmed hem of my dress. Even my back grew damp with a fine sheen of perspiration. Hazel had already spoken up with boundless excitement. "Theodore, what brings you here in all your glory?" "I was discussing business nearby tonight and happened to see old classmates, so I invited myself over." As Theodore spoke, his gaze lingered on my face for several seconds before slowly shifting away. "I hope you old classmates don't mind me crashing your dinner?" "Not at all." Everyone responded with enthusiastic excitement, warmly welcoming him. "We couldn't have invited you even if we tried." Theodore finally walked in with a smile. "Then I won't stand on ceremony." He happened to sit directly across from me. All the classmates greeted and chatted with him in turn. Only I kept my head bowed the entire time, not daring to meet his eyes. But Theodore seemed unwilling to let me off so easily. "Amelia, after all these years apart, have we grown distant?" Suddenly hearing my name called, I instinctively looked up only to meet Theodore's faintly smiling eyes. In that instant, my face flushed crimson, and the back of my neck burned. After a while, I finally stood up and raised my glass. "Theodore, long time no see." "Amelia, long time no see." Theodore gave me a deep look before clinking his glass with mine. I took a small sip of the strong liquor and had barely settled back into my seat when Hazel tugged at my sleeve and winked at me. "There's something fishy between you two, sweetheart." What do you mean fishy?" "Theodore hasn't taken his eyes off your face since he walked in." "You must be seeing things, Hazel." "Don't worry, I was born with a gossip god's intuition and golden eyes. I can tell at a glance if there's something between a man and a woman." I couldn't help but press my lips together, my heart pounding wildly. utterly chaotic. After graduation, I followed Jason back to City A. I never saw Theodore again except for occasional holiday greetings on social media. That was the extent of our contact. It wasn't until recently, when Jason began pursuing Celia so openly, that Theodore suddenly reached out to me. So far, though, we've only had a few phone calls. This is our first meeting since I accepted his proposal. We haven't even held hands yet, but Hazel made it sound like we're already in some serious relationship. Oh Theodore, do you have a girlfriend? I had this gorgeous distant cousin, how about I introduce you? A female classmate's sudden questions instantly heightened the atmosphere. Hazel wasn't about to be outdone. Theodore, if you're single, why not consider our Amelia? Beautiful, sweet, with a great figure, and a fellow elite university graduate, what a perfect match, don't you think? I grew both nervous and embarrassed, my face burning crimson. Amidst the laughter and teasing, Theodore's voice suddenly resonated deeply. All right Hazel, stop teasing Amelia. She's easily embarrassed, give her a break. Hazel made a face at him. Does Theodore feel sorry for Amelia? Theodore smiled without answering, yet didn't deny it either. I stole a glance at Theodore. He happened to be looking at me too. My cheeks warmed, and I quickly lowered my head again. But then a message came through on my phone. It was from Theodore, wait for me after dinner. I'll walk you home. I replied, okay. Theodore said, good girl. I didn't reply anymore, only feeling my heart pound faster and faster. When the gathering ended, I waited for Theodore in the lobby downstairs. A friend from City A suddenly called. Amelia, what have you been busy with these days? Haven't seen you around. I have some personal matters to attend to. Then let's hang out later? I smiled, no, you guys go ahead. Hey, Amelia, don't hang up yet, actually, it's Jason. Jason's in a bad mood tonight, he's drunk and won't listen to anyone. If you're free, come see him. I'm afraid if he keeps drinking, he'll get stomach bleeding again. Call Celia, you guys. Amelia, Jason just kicked Celia out. We can all see he still has feelings for you, he regrets it. Stop it, Mason. We've already broken up. I gripped my phone, my voice calm, from now on, his affairs have nothing to do with me. Don't call me again. No sooner had my words faded than chaos erupted in my ear. It sounded like Mason's phone had been snatched away. I had no intention of engaging further and was about to hang up. But then Jason's voice cut through. Amelia, they took it upon themselves to call you. This has nothing to do with me. As haughty, cold, and proud as ever. Okay, I'm hanging up then. Amelia. Jason called my name again. I could hear the heavy drunkenness in his voice. In the past, I would have felt terribly sorry for him and started urging him tirelessly to drink less. But now, none of his affairs had anything to do with me anymore. I hung up the phone. After some thought, I deleted these few friends of Jason's too. I'd only known them because of Jason in the first place. Now we have completely separated. Naturally, there's no need to continue any further contact. Amelia. Theodore stood not far ahead to the left in the brilliantly lit hall. The play of light on his handsome face seemed to blur as well. Theodore. I was about to stand when Theodore began walking toward me. Perhaps drunk, his steps were somewhat unsteady. Without another thought, I rushed over to support him. Theodore, are you unwell from drinking too much? Theodore gave a slight nod, likely suffering from a severe headache. He furrowed his brows, his face clearly contorted in pain. Amelia, my car is waiting outside. Could you please help me to the car? All right, I'll help you out right now. Theodore was much taller than me. Even over that short distance, we both stumbled along unsteadily. As I boarded the carriage, my legs momentarily gave way, and I lost my balance, plunging straight into his embrace. The faint scent of wine, mingled with the deep aroma of ebony wood, enveloped me like a tidal wave. Coming to my senses, I flushed with embarrassment and tried to pull away, but Theodore held me tighter. Amelia, let me hold you for a while, won't you? Theodore. I'm not dreaming, are I? You're Amelia, you really are Amelia, aren't you? Theodore suddenly cupped my face in his hands. At such close proximity, our breaths tangled chaotically within those intimate inches. His drunken gaze held a mix of confusion, daze, disbelief, and an indescribable bitterness. My heart felt as if someone had crumpled it in their palm, aching and sore. Theodore. You're not dreaming. It's me, I'm Amelia. Before I could finish speaking, a warm kiss brushed against my lips. So light, so tender, it was the gentlest of kisses. Before I could even process it, Theodore had already let me go. Probably it was the surprise and unease on my face, along with the startled alarm in my eyes, that he noticed. He took my hand and guided me to sit properly in my seat. The car had already started moving, and Theodore lowered the partition inside the vehicle. The enclosed space made me even more tense and restless. But Theodore released my hand. Don't be afraid, Amelia. I won't do anything to you here. He raised his hand and gently smoothed the slightly disheveled hair by my temple. Amelia, I'll wait patiently until our wedding night. I lowered my head, my cheeks burning crimson. After a long pause, I finally looked up at him and softly uttered a quiet Jason got drunk again. No matter how his friends tried to persuade him, he wouldn't listen. He wasn't quite sure what had been causing his recent melancholy. Perhaps he had grown tired of Celia. After losing that initial spark, he found her merely ordinary. Or perhaps, he had begun to miss Amelia's gentle, serene, and considerate nature. Last time when a friend called, it was actually with his tacit approval. But on the other end of the line, Amelia kept turning him down. He suddenly flew into a rage, snatched the phone, and said those few words. But Amelia said nothing, simply hanging up quietly. She didn't come to see him, didn't come to take him home. Not even when she knew he had drunk excessively, that his body might not withstand it. She remained unmoved. Jason didn't want to admit that in that moment, he had actually panicked a little. But he quickly comforted himself. Amelia had loved him for so long. They had been together for 3 years, not 3 days, not 3 months. He knew perfectly well how much effort she had put into this relationship. So, right now, she might just be too heartbroken, too resentful of him. But if she truly intended to give up on this relationship, Jason refused to believe it. Jason, if you keep drinking like this, do you even care about your life anymore? Have you any idea how worried everyone's been about you lately? His friend held on to the bottle, pleading earnestly, I just called Celia, she's coming to pick you up right away. Stop drinking, okay? Jason suddenly felt nothing but disgust for the name Celia. He shoved his friend away and hurled the bottle to the ground with a crash. Who told you to call her? Did I ask her to come? She's your girlfriend. Who else should we call? What kind of girlfriend of mine is she? Jason sneered, don't you know damn well who my girlfriend is? The friends exchanged glances. Jason, did you forget? You and Amelia already broke up. Yeah, you even said in the group chat that Celia would be your future wife. Before Amelia left the group, she even congratulated you. Aren't you and Celia supposed to be getting engaged soon? There won't be an engagement. Jason signaled for another bottle of wine to be opened. Jason, you really shouldn't drink anymore. You think I'll listen to your advice? Yes, you won't listen to us. You've only ever listened to Amelia. If Amelia were still here, you'd have obediently gone home with her long ago. You wouldn't have drunk yourself into the hospital. Jason remained silent but didn't deny it either. His friend simply took out his phone, I'm calling Amelia right now. If you won't even listen to her, then we're truly out of options. But what nobody expected was that the call wouldn't connect. Every friend in the room tried calling, all their numbers had been blocked and deleted by Amelia. The air seemed about to freeze solid. Jason sat on the sofa, his eyes appearing frosted over with coldness. Amelia must be really angry. Yeah, Jason, after all you broke up with her out of the blue and got together with her so-called sister. Anyone would feel wronged and couldn't take it. She seems to have been living alone outside all this time. A while back on her mother's death anniversary, my sister saw her returning from the cemetery crying with swollen eyes. Jason, maybe you should go find her at her apartment. Suddenly, Jason thought of the day Amelia moved out of the house. She dragged 2 enormous suitcases behind her, walking away without even turning her head. That was originally her home, her family. But later, the home became Celia and her mother's. And her father became Celia's father too. And he, back then, had been foolishly captivated by the youthful and delicate Celia. He, too, had discarded her like worthless trash. What flashed before Jason's eyes now was that final glance Amelia had given him. Calm and emotionless, as if he were just a stranger, an insignificant passerby in her life. Jason suddenly stood up, but just as he was about to leave, Celia pushed the door open and entered. Jason. Celia still wore that same fragile, timid expression. Her beautiful almond-shaped eyes were always glistening with moisture, as if on the verge of tears at any moment. It was easy to mistake her for someone who'd been wronged. Why do you drink so much again? You'll complain about a headache tomorrow. Celia walked over, linking arms with him, her voice soft and brimming with concern. Jason was about to speak when he caught the familiar scent of perfume once more. His heart suddenly stirred, and the hand that was about to push Celia away froze mid-motion. Why does it smell so nice? Jason's unexpectedly tender voice made Celia both flustered and excited. Still the same brand as before? Celia's smile faltered for a moment before she nodded. Yes, still the same one. Celia's face beamed with joy, yet an inexpressible resentment slowly festered in her heart. This perfume was taken from Amelia's dressing room. She had originally wanted to smash them all, though they were all high-end brands, still unopened. But Jason only liked this particular scent. Later, when she tried other varieties, he always seemed disgusted. She had no choice but to hold her nose and keep using this fragrance. As long as you like it, I'll wear it every day from now on. Celia lifted her face, her beautiful eyes shimmering with watery allure, utterly captivating. But Jason suddenly changed expression. Then, he even raised his hand and shoved her away with force. Jason? Celia was bewildered, and the other friends were equally stunned. Celia. Jason stared at her expressionlessly, his tone even calm. Yet anyone could see he was furiously angry to the extreme. Jason, what on earth is wrong with you? Celia tried again to reach for his arm. But this time, Jason simply raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. Jason, you hit me? Celia covered her cheek, tears of grievance welling up in her eyes. But Jason only let out a cold laugh. Weren't you allergic to peaches, Celia? Didn't you sob to me about how Amelia had someone pour peach juice on your bed, almost killing you? I really am allergic to peaches, Dad knows that too. It was Dad who found out that Amelia had the servants smear peach juice on my bed. Celia covered her face, crying pitifully with grievance. Still lying. Jason suddenly stepped forward, gripping Celia's collar tightly. His height was towering, and with this move, he nearly lifted Celia off her feet. Jason, let go quickly, I can't breathe. Jason lowered his gaze to stare at her, his handsome face gradually contorting. Celia, have you forgotten? You're wearing Amelia's favorite perfume. The same one I bought her countless times. I just forgot later. Jason suddenly let out a self-mocking laugh. He'd forgotten too much. He'd forgotten Amelia's devotion to him all these years, how deeply she'd loved him. He'd forgotten their 3 tender years together, forgotten how desperately she'd longed for their love to be fulfilled. He forgot how Amelia had wept silently before him when they broke up, yet quietly accepted all reality. He forgot how kind and gentle the girl he once loved with all his heart had been. He forgot that he had once treasured her like a jewel, only to abandon her without a second thought. He forgot too much, and so he reaped what he sowed. The middle notes of this perfume are white peach and gardenia. You said you were allergic to peaches, so how come you, who use this fragrance every day, never showed any allergic reactions? Celia's eyes suddenly widened, her face turned deathly pale as if she had lost her parents. Her entire body trembled uncontrollably. So, from beginning to end, you've been lying. You plotted against her, deceived me, and also betrayed Amelia's father. Celia, I must have been blind to ever love a scheming woman like you. Jason released his grip and shoved her forcefully away. Celia collapsed limply to the ground, attempting to defend herself but finding no justification. This perfume bottle was indeed one she used daily, the evidence was irrefutable. I'll reveal your true colors to everyone. Jason cast one final contemptuous glance down at her before slamming the door behind him. The driver sped through the streets, delivering him to the foot of Amelia's apartment building. Through the darkness, he saw her windows pitch black, devoid of any light. Perhaps she was asleep, but Jason refused to give up. He needed to see her immediately, to apologize, to admit his wrongs, to beg for her forgiveness. No matter how many times he rang the doorbell or knocked, Amelia never came to answer. Eventually, the harassed neighbors called the property management. Only then did he learn from them that Amelia had moved away long ago, and that she had entrusted the property management with selling this apartment. Where had she moved to? Was she still in City A? Would she ever come back? When? Jason knew none of it. There was only one thought in his heart, a thought that filled him with extreme panic. Like a beast lurking in the shadows, it lay in wait, ready to devour him. He had lost Amelia. He might, forever and completely, have lost Amelia. All the accusations and plots that Celia and her mother had fabricated against Amelia were finally exposed. Even the servants in Amelia's household came forward one after another to speak up for their young mistress. The day the mother and daughter were driven out of Amelia's mansion was utterly humiliating. Like beaten dogs, they were scorned by everyone. Jason stood amidst the withered crabapple blossoms in the garden, his eyes suddenly reddening. Withered crabapples would bloom again. But some people who leave will never return. These days, Amelia's father had tried every means to contact her many times. But each time the call connected, the moment she heard their voices, she would silently hang up. When she left City A, she took not only the keepsakes but also all the inheritance her mother had left her. What remained of that home now was merely an empty shell. They all knew she would never come back. From not far away came the sounds of commotion and a woman's wailing curses. Perhaps because their dream of entering high society had shattered, Celia and her mother had revealed their initially hidden, acrid and mean-spirited true natures. Open the cases. I need to have the luggage inspected. Vincent stood on the steps, his entire being looking rather haggard. Jason gazed at this aging man, feeling only that he was just as pitiful and ridiculous as him. How absurd that they would drive away such a wonderful Amelia over two women like this. This is retribution, instant karma in this very life. The mother and daughter refused to open the cases, throwing tantrums and rolling on the ground. But in the end, it was all for naught. Dozens of enormous cases were forcibly opened. Beneath the piles of clothing lay nothing but expensive handbags and jewelry. Other than clothes, they are not allowed to take anything else. Vincent's face turned livid as he issued the order. The mother and daughter wailed and rushed forward, trying to snatch back their jewelry, only to be shoved aside by bodyguards. Not only were the valuables in the suitcase emptied, but all the jewelry they wore was also stripped from them. Celia struggled so violently that her earlobes were torn, blood trickling from her neck down to her chest, creating a particularly ghastly sight. But her usually doting daddy didn't even spare her a glance. He waved his hand dismissively, as though shooing away bothersome flies, and had the mother-daughter pair thrown out. As they were being forced through the main gate, Celia still clung to hope. She gripped the gatepost stubbornly, her hoarse screams ringing out, "Jason! You can't do this to me, you can't. I'm pregnant, the child is yours. You have to take responsibility." By the end, her cries had turned frenzied, her appearance that of a madwoman. "Jason?" Vincent turned to look at him. Jason felt an indescribable disgust, he wanted to laugh, yet couldn't. How could he have ever liked such a repulsive woman? Jason walked over and looked at the old man with half-grayed hair before him. I never touched her. I swear, I never once laid a hand on her. That's good, that's good. Vincent let out a long sigh of relief and waved his hand again. The bodyguards dragged the two out, and their cries, their clamor, all faded away. The evening sun slowly sank, cloaking the entirety of the sprawling mansion in its glow. Both their gazes fell upon that vast expanse of withered crabapple blossoms. The flowers had gone to sleep, with no telling when they might awaken again. They were Amelia's mother's favorite flowers. After she passed, it was Amelia who tended to them with her own hands. Now that Amelia too was gone, the blossoms, as if possessing a soul, had withered away even in the heart of spring. Vincent wiped his tears. I failed Amelia. I failed her mother, failed her too. Jason, oh Jason, I'd been such a foolish old man. I promised her mother I'd take good care of her, that I'd cherish her, yet I broke my word. Tell me, will I be punished for this? Amelia, how heartbroken and wronged she must have felt during those days. Jason, her mother's portrait has been restored, and I'll arrange for the house to be completely renovated. Do you think, will Amelia ever come home with me? Jason didn't know. He had no answer. Perhaps he did, but he wasn't willing to acknowledge what that answer might be. In the deepening twilight, he could only suppress his own sorrow to comfort him. Amelia has always had a soft heart. He couldn't continue speaking. They all knew exactly what her true nature was like. Why had they been so utterly spellbound back then, bullying and hurting her like that? My wedding with Theodore took place in the spring of the following year. Just as we'd promised in our youth, my best friend Hazel served as my only bridesmaid. I hadn't informed any family or friends from City A. Yet somehow the news got out anyway. On the wedding day, both my father and Jason unexpectedly showed up. Theodore came to ask for my opinion. The makeup artist was working on me when I instinctively looked up and saw our reflections in the mirror, my future husband and myself. The bridal makeup needs to be slightly heavier, so the reflection in the mirror looks quite different from my usual self. Like the crabapple tree Theodore specially planted for me in the bridal chamber, shy yet in full bloom, delicate yet utterly captivating. As for Theodore in his black groom's attire, his handsomeness is simply dazzling. We exchange a glance, and in that fleeting moment, smiles brim in the depths of each other's eyes. I don't want to see them. Theodore nods without hesitation. All right, then I'll have someone ask them to leave. People and things from my past, I no longer wish to see or remember them. Those scars left in my heart will fade with time, one day. In this life, my bonds with family have been shallow, and what cannot be forced, I no longer wish to force upon myself. With everything in order, I walked onto the stage in a pristine white wedding gown, holding a bouquet. Theodore couldn't wait. Before I could even step closer, he reached out to me, eager to take my hand. I reached out to him too. Amid countless blessings and laughter, our hands clasped tightly together. Theodore lowered his head and kissed me, uninhibited, as if no one else existed. That kiss was long, so very long. It lasted until I thought I might run out of breath before he finally pulled away. Amelia. As the ring slid onto my finger, Theodore whispered softly in my ear, I love you, Amelia. From long, long ago, to long, long after. I looked up at him, my eyes sparkling with laughter yet brimming with tears. Theodore. I'll try my best to love you too, to love you well. He held me gently in his arms. Good. The wedding that day was incredibly luxurious, yet equally romantic. Both Jason and Vincent failed to step even half a foot into the wedding venue. Yet, they both tacitly chose not to leave. Only, Vincent couldn't hold on until the wedding ended. He suddenly suffered a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. Though his life was saved, he remained in a coma. As for him, he stood there until the very end of the wedding. For some reason, Amelia's best friend Hazel never blocked him. So, through Hazel's posts, he virtually witnessed the entire ceremony. Jason had known even before the wedding that Amelia's groom was Theodore. A senior from her university days, exceptionally outstanding, someone she had praised countless times before. Back then, they were still in that ambiguous phase, and he would get jealous every time he heard about it. So Amelia stopped mentioning it altogether and deliberately kept her distance from Theodore. Yet, who would have thought that after all the twists and turns, Amelia ended up marrying him in the end? Being a man himself, Jason could tell almost instantly, Theodore loved her deeply, so very deeply. In every photo and video, the way Theodore looked at Amelia was tender and utterly focused. It was as if Jason was seeing his former self. He, too, had once loved Amelia that intensely. Until later, he thought he had grown tired, weary, and his heart was stolen by younger girls. Finally, he lost her. By the time he woke up abruptly and wanted to turn back, it was already too late for regrets. Theodore's car carried her away. Were they returning to their marital home? Jason couldn't describe the bitterness and sourness in his heart. He had heard that their marital home was also planted with vast stretches of crabapple blossoms. It was spring now, the most beautiful time of the year. Those crabapple blossoms must be blooming with exceptional delicacy. As Jason drove back to City A, it was already late at night when he reached the elevated highway. The long bridge stretched empty before him, devoid of any human presence. He pushed the car to its absolute limit, then yanked the steering wheel and shut his eyes. The speeding vehicle crashed heavily into the guardrail. After the deafening impact, all fell into silence. Even if the crabapple blooms again, it would be in someone else's courtyard. If there's an afterlife, he wants to return to the year he first met Amelia. This time, he would love her properly.